So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Who back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network Podcast here today. It is Thursday, December 30th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Thursday, December 30th here today, coming off of another big night in sports last night. I watched the John Madden documentary, which came right after the Kentucky versus Kentucky game, which was great. Great win for Kentucky. Really solid win. A good showing. 27-point victory. Getting up there 83 points again. And another good win for Kentucky. And, we continue to build. We continue to improve. We continue to get better. And we're continuing to just each and every game, night in, night out, whenever we play, we're getting better. We are really starting to play together at a higher level. And it's really great to see. Really great to see, and it's obviously something that, as the season goes on, you got to hope that we continue to build wins. We are now 1-0 in SEC play, which is great to see, so really pumped up and happy about that, and it was a good win yesterday. But I watched the All Madden documentary, or the show documentary, whatever you want to call it, because there's only one show, so it's not like it was like a 10-part documentary like The Last Dance or The Man in the Arena right now, which I'm loving to watch. I'm watching that with Tom Brady. So it's not like it's something like that, but it is definitely something that was really awesome, really cool. NFL, Fox, they did a great job with it. And it was really a perfect reflection of the impact he made on football, the impact he made on everybody. And overall, just how he changed the game, how he changed the layout of the sport. What he did with broadcasting, his motto and his whole, plan as a head coach, his success as a head coach. Everything that he did with the sport of football was something that it was very just unique, and he did it in such a great way, and he definitely will be missed by many in the NFL, and it was really, really cool to see everything that he was able to accomplish in his career, and from coaching to being a broadcaster to then playing a Madden video game to having your own game, which obviously started out as John Madden Football and now is known today as Madden, Madden 21, Madden 22, and it's playing worldwide and one of the most popular video games out there every year in and year out when they come out with the new one. So it was really cool to see. So that was good. Like I said, Kentucky got the win. No Thursday Night Football on tonight. So it's kind of weird. Throughout the year, you have Thursday Night Football on all the time. And then as the season winds down, the Thursday Night Football pretty much stops. So I believe there is no more Thursday Night Football. It always happens this way, where usually Thursday Night Football will stop. So there is no Thursday Night Football this week. There is just every NFL game is on Sunday except the one Monday night game between the Steelers and the Browns. So a lot of football on Sunday. It especially feels like now, like there's even though it's only one game. Because Thursday night's obviously only one game, so that means that all the rest are on Sunday, and then there's one Monday night game. It still feels like there's so many more Sunday games, just because there's no Thursday game. It's like you're done with the Thursday game, then you go to Sunday. Now it's like it feels like all the games are on Sunday. It's like the entire NFL is playing on Sunday, which most of the time is the case. But now without Thursday night games, it seems even more like there's so many games on Sunday. But it really is just one more game than usual. So that's exciting. I'm ready for it. Big weekend this weekend in the NFL. Huge weekend for a lot of teams. Teams like. Some of the teams on the outside looking in, big game for the Ravens. Chiefs, Bengals is a big game. Dolphins, Titans is a big one. Some other big ones as well. Raiders are a big one. Raiders, Colts is a big one. Rams, Ravens, like I said. Chargers, they need a win. Cowboys, Cardinals are a big one. So definitely a lot of big games. there's some other games that, have meaning to them, but it's not as big as some of these other games, like the Browns-Steelers. Both those teams still have an outside chance, but the chances are much lower, and they need a lot of help other than win, you're in, lose, you're done. So, a lot of big games this weekend. And, two, from a Jets fan perspective, we're done with, we've been eliminated for a while now, but hey, you look at it and you go ahead and say, hey, we have an opportunity this weekend. We're facing a very good Buccaneers team. Let's see what we can do, right? So, big-time team, final home game of the season, and then you go into Buffalo next week to wrap up the year. So, we'll see how everything goes. So a lot to get to today on the podcast, as always. Another packed podcast in front of us. We're going to start it off today. A lot of stuff. Baseball, I know. Kyle Seager retired. I was going to talk about that. I planned on it, but I just decided to talk about Big Ben and what he said today at his interview instead, and we are going to get to that. So I want to talk about Ben Roethlisberger and his retirement rumors. Today, he made it pretty clear, pretty obvious, kind of gave out a big teaser that this very well could be, and more than likely will be, his final game at Heinz Field, as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, you could say whatever you want. Oh, he's coming back, or he's going to go to another team. You could say whatever you want. Whatever you think he's going to do. Retire, join another team, maybe whatever he decides to do. We can all agree that this will probably be Big Ben's last game in a Steelers uniform, and kind of what it means for the Steelers. I'm going to talk a little bit about the situation around the team, Big Ben, his career. I know it's not official, but it seems to be heading that way, and with him saying it is more than likely kind of just the icing on the cake that these are his final 2 games of his NFL career, and after this he'll hang up the cleats and he'll head into retirement. Having a Super Bowl under his belt and many, many, many winning seasons as a Steelers quarterback. So we'll get to him, and we'll get to those rumors. Got a little basketball. Kyrie Irving returned yesterday to practice. It has been an ongoing story. It was about, a week ago, the Nets announced that Kyrie will be coming back for only road games. Well, he had to go through testing and stuff. He was then placed in protocols. He then came out of those protocols, yesterday or 2 days ago or whatever, and he was back yesterday, first practice with the Nets this season, in the regular season. He was practicing with the team prior to the start of the season, and then once they obviously didn't allow him to play due to, the vaccine and stuff, and I've removed him completely from the team. So this is his first practice back with the Nets. It was good to see. I was happy about it. I'm really excited to get Kyrie back. I'm going to get into a lot of it. I know a lot of people have issues with him coming back in terms of a standpoint of the Nets are doing perfectly fine without him. Why mess things up? Or all that stuff. I don't buy into that because, look, we were supposed to have him at the beginning of the season. If everything went as planned, Kyrie would have been with Harden and KD battling for a championship. So to now sit here and say, oh, he's going to ruin everything, isn't really fair to say. Because were we saying that at the beginning of the year? No. So now all of a sudden people are saying it now just because he's coming back middle of the year. It's just like a guy being injured for 2 weeks. And maybe then your team finds a rhythm and they come back. Are you going to say, if KD, the Nets won 2 games and on the West Coast against the Lakers and the Clippers, KD wasn't there, are we all going to say, oh, we only need Harden now, right? It's not, everyone's saying, oh, it's going to mess up the mojo. I don't buy into that because we were supposed to have Kyrie at the beginning of the season. It's kind of immature or not fair to say that he's going to ruin everything. So we'll get into it. I'll get into that. And then we'll get to the New York sports update. Nets on tonight. They are back home to play the Philadelphia at 7 Eastern at Barclays, so I'm excited about that. Like I said, I can't stand West Coast trips. Cannot stand when the Nets are on the West Coast, and just don't like it. Pumped that the Nets are back home, back at Barclays, 7 Eastern against Philadelphia, so that should be a lot of fun to watch. And then the Knicks last night played the Knicks had a game last night. They played against the Pistons. They were able to get the job done. I believe it was like 94-85 or something like that. So they played last night. They have a day off today. 4 NBA games on today. Nets, Sixers are one of them at 7 Eastern. Kentucky also won yesterday as well. Rangers lost yesterday in their return to play. So you got to hope that is not the start of something, that they can bounce back, reset. Started off the game well. Panarin had a really nice goal, and everything just went south from there. Just a tough loss. Panthers are a good team. I said it yesterday. They're a good team. They're a physical team. They're a team that's going to get in front of the net and shoot a lot. And they did that yesterday, and, it is what it is. I don't think the Rangers played that bad. I don't think we played that bad yesterday. Really, what I think it came down to was the Panthers were just the better team in terms of more prepared to play and ready. I thought the Rangers did what they needed to do, but the Panthers just executed and did what they needed to do at a higher level. And there's not much else I could say about that. So we'll get to all that stuff later on in the program. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the introduction, and now let's get to the podcast here. With all that being said, this is the BSN Network podcast, and let's get right into it. So Ben Roethlisberger hints at retirement. Monday could be final Steelers home game. So you've heard that right through all of the rumors, all of the talk and chatter and what ifs and this and that, and is he going to be here? Is he going to retire? What if he does this? Where is he going to go? What is he going to do? Roethlisberger today just hinted that a kind of dropped a massive media bomb himself, as he said today at his interview that all things are pointing towards, all things are going to, all signs are pointing towards this being my final game at Heinz Field in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers fans as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said, this could mean a million and one things. This could mean he's going to retire. This could mean that really can only mean two things. This could mean he's going to retire, or this could mean he's going to play elsewhere. So he's kind of eliminated all these other outcomes of coming back, or coming back as a coach, or maybe re-signing or whatever. All of these possibilities, he's kind of limited choices down to two. With him saying that this will probably be his final game, number one, shows you that the Steelers aren't confident. They're not making the playoffs. Mathematically, they're not out of it. But let's all be honest here. The Steelers are not making the playoffs. I'm saying that right now. If we come out of Week 18 and the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger are celebrating in the locker room because they clinched a playoff berth, well, a lot has to happen. Then that means chaos struck in the final 2 weeks of the season. Because they would need to get in at 9-7-1, and they would need help. They would need teams to lose. They would need upsets, and they would need to take care of business themselves, which they've been having a hard time doing this year on their own. They're 7-7-1 and coming off of a blowout loss in Kansas City against the Chiefs. That really, I think, summed up kind of the season and where they're headed in terms of a franchise and an organization. And there are questions around this team heading into the offseason, but I said this last year, right? And I'm not taking anything away from it, right? Big Ben had an excellent career with the Steelers, right? He'll probably, go into whatever they got there, Ring of Honor or Steelers Hall of Fame, whatever it is there. I know each team's got their own thing. The Jets have the Ring of Honor, Giants have the Ring of Honor, Steelers Hall of Fame, whatever they got over there. Big Ben will be there. Make no mistake, he'll have his jersey retired. They'll do a halftime ceremony, all that stuff. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in Pittsburgh Steelers history. I'm not going to sit here and say him or Terry Bradshaw. To be honest, I'd have to really look at the stats. I would say Terry Bradshaw is better. I don't even want to get into that right now because, to be honest with you, I really don't even know what Terry Bradshaw, off the top of my head, how they compare against each other, but he definitely will go down as arguably one of the best Steelers quarterbacks of all time. And I've been saying since last year that I think at this point with Big Ben, right, because players, they can't play forever, right? Coaches can't coach forever. Players can't play forever. It's just how it is. Whether you like it or not, it's just how it is. Unless if you're Tom Brady and we're still trying to figure out if he's human or if it's a robot under that helmet every Sunday. Tom Brady's just not human. Okay? You don't get Tom Brady's too often. Tom Brady might play until he might die under center. Right? He might play until he's 90 years old, for all we know. Quarterbacks can't play forever. Players can't play forever. Coaches can't coach forever. Like I said, there's a time in every sport where you get to the tail end of your career and you start to struggle. You're not the same player. You're just, in a way, you're holding the franchise back. And I've said this a lot of times. When you look at quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks, towards the tail end of their career, it's like it's an experiment every season. Every year you bring them back for another season where it could be their final year or you might not have them on your team next season. It's like an experiment. You're trying to figure out, can this guy just get back to what he once was? Can he make one final run? Can he, if we get him one more key guy, can he turn into what he was in the beginning of his career? And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, they can't because they're just old. They're just not the same player as they once were. And that's what the Steelers are now in a process of. They've been in an experiment with Big Ben the past 2 years. He had the Tommy John surgery in 2019. He came back in 2020, didn't have a bad year, but the Steelers weren't great by any means. They lost in the wild card game to the Browns. Most of his offensive line retires. Now they say, take a pay cut, bring him back another year. They bring him back another year, and this is like the experiment part. Maybe we try to find some offensive line solutions. We give him a running back. Maybe that'll help him. And the Steelers are still sitting at 7-1, and we're still sitting here today talking about Roethlisberger, Big Ben, more than likely retiring at the end of the season. Or more than likely, whatever he's going to do. He'll probably retire. So, this is the part where Steelers fans, the organization, just has to get to the point. It is a tough reality to take. Because for a guy that's been your quarterback for so long, has been so reliable, has been out there every Sunday under center, ready to go, making plays left and right, to have him get to this point of his career where he's really struggling, and at this point, Big Ben is holding the team back. He is. And this is an experiment that no matter what Big Ben says or does, this needs to be and has to be and more than likely will be, based on what he said today, his final game at Heinz Field and his final 2 games with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Giants did it with Eli too. They were experimenting. He was good his beginning part of his career. He had like 3 years. They're like, bring him back. Let's see it. Finally, they drafted Daniel Jones. They started Eli to start that year. Maybe Eli could do something. No, got benched. Jones is in. We all know how the rest panned out. Eli retired. Jones has been the quarterback for the past 3 years. Right? So, that's been the thing. So, a lot of teams do it. A lot of teams tend to do it. Right? Or a team will try to sign a quarterback late in his career and see if he can work some of his magic. The Panthers are doing it with Cam Newton. They brung him back. Maybe he can work some of his magic. Back at where it all started with him. Right? Can he work some of his magic? No, he can't. Right? And same thing here with the Steelers. Steelers are like, let's bring Big Ben back. We'll give him a running back. He won't have to throw the ball 50 times a game. Still not working. It is time for Big Ben to hang up the cleats. And it is time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to move on from the Big Ben era and start over. And I don't know what they're going to do, whether that era is going to be the Mason Rudolph era, or if they're going to draft a quarterback on their own. Whatever they decide to do, I said it at the beginning. I said it really at the beginning of I said it at last year. I said it this time last year. I said Big Ben can't come back. He came back. I'm going to say it again. whatever it is, Big Ben can't be your quarterback next year. He can't be. And with what he said today, we can all agree. 99% chance he won't be. What could change his mind? Maybe if they make the playoffs. Maybe if they go on some magical run and they just lose and he wants to come back and see if he can finish it off. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I would fully buy into the verdict of, let's just say he has a terrible game Monday night. He throws 4 picks. Sometimes quarterbacks do come back. Sometimes players do that. If they have a terrible game, they'll come back for another season, or they'll re-sign, right? Or they'll have they do that. And I know some people are saying that Big Ben might, let's just say Big Ben on Monday night throws for 4 interceptions, and the Steelers lose 31-3, and walking off that field, there's nobody in this crowd because half them left at halftime. If that happens, there's some people that say, oh, Big Ben might want to come back to revenge himself. But if Big Ben has a solid game Monday night and he leaves the field victorious, even if their playoff chances still don't get any better, it's it. I mean, this is pretty much over for him. And even if Big Ben says, hey, I want to come back, fine, maybe bring him back. But he can't be the starter. He can't be. And like I said, I don't know where they're going to go. The Steelers are in a situation like the Giants. Steelers have a lot of cap space. They have a good amount of room to maneuver, so that is one positive. Giants, on the other hand, don't. But in terms of quarterback situation, it's the Steelers are probably going to be quarterback-less in a couple weeks here once Big Ben announces retirement. So you have a couple choices, right? You could either bring in a stopgate quarterback, right? Stopgap quarterback, which, I've always said this could be another veteran. Not somebody that's extremely old and worn out, but even somebody like a Nick Foles or somebody like that. I'm just giving you an example. A guy that can keep you competitive. And then you build around, you create some cap space, and in the next draft, you draft a quarterback. But who knows? I mean, I could see the Steelers very well going after a guy like a Kenny Pickett. A guy who's already played with Pitt, played inside Heinz Field, that's their home stadium. A guy who's already in Pittsburgh, knows the area, has done so many great things already for that city and that college. Could they bring, Kenny Pickett in to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? It would be he almost fits right in. It kind of be like a hometown feel-good story. He's already made his mark on the city to then just get drafted. It's almost like he already fits right in. That could be somebody. It all depends, though. But this is getting to the point where this needs to happen. It needs to happen. Big Ben, I think, is coming to the realization of it. I think the Steelers fans are coming to the realization of it. Because you also want to know this, right? And this a lot of times happens. This kind of happened with Eli. I'm not trying to pick on Eli. I'm just giving you an example because it's just the most common one. It's one of the more recent ones, too. Eli had such a great start to his career. He had 4 really years. And it's almost like those 4 really years towards the tail end is what fans remember. And it's not the first couple years where he was dominant, taking them to Super Bowls, winning MVPs, knocking off the undefeated Patriots, right? That's also where Steelers fans got to realize, time's up. Time's up. It's time's up when you're you can only remember all the bad. Because Roethlisberger has not been good. He's not been good. And they've had some big wins this year, but it's been a lot of their defense and been a lot of their running game and not a whole lot of Roethlisberger. It's time. It's time. He's just old. It's time to hang it up. And a lot of fans say that too. And I can't stand this. And I understand. He's been with your organization for so long. You get locked to him. You're that's our quarterback. Every year, he's been our quarterback. It's weird to see somebody line up under center, right? And I get that. And it's going to be weird for us as football fans when Tom Brady is not under center week 1 of the season, whenever he decides to retire. That's going to be weird as us football fans. I mean, we got so used to seeing him in the Super Bowl. When he wasn't in the Super Bowl with the Patriots, it was weird. It was weird. When that Chiefs 49ers, when Brady got knocked out in the wild card game, it was weird not seeing Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in the playoffs. It was weird seeing them on the playoff bracket saying they got eliminated by the Patriots. I understand that. But all these fans, there's so many fans that are saying, oh, what if you do this for him? What if you give him this? What if you do this? You give him whatever you want. Give him Devontae Adams for all I care. He's not the same player. He's just slower. His mechanics are much slower, right? There's a reason guys retire. I mean, if he could still, I'm sure if he knew he could still sling it, and that's the one thing with Roethlisberger. I think he realizes he doesn't have it anymore. If he could still sling it, then he would stay. But it's obvious. Watch the games. He's not the same quarterback, and it is time. But he made his mark on the organization, and they're going to have to go their separate ways. And it's going to be interesting to see what Steelers do. For a team that's won so much through all their years, this is going to be a little bit of a rebuilding phase for them. This is a Steelers team, a Steelers franchise that has never really experienced a very big rebuild. This might be one of them where they're heading into. It has all the makings of it. You lose your franchise quarterback's going to retire. You already had a ton of guys previously retire. You have a lot of young guys on the roster. You have some mix between some young and some vets and some guys that are towards the tail end. You just have an old roster with a couple new guys. It's kind of like they're in this weird stage with their roster where it's like it's in the blowing up stage, where you're just an off season away from really blowing this whole thing up, tearing it all down, and just restarting. And bringing a young talent and seeing what fits and what doesn't fit. And that's looks like where the Steelers are headed. So Ben Roethlisberger hints at retirement. Monday could be final Steelers home game. Ben Roethlisberger is strongly indicating that Monday's game against the Cleveland Browns would be his final home start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking to reporters ahead of Thursday's practice, Roethlisberger said all signs are pointing to the upcoming game likely being his last start at Heinz Field. There's been speculation all season that this would be Roethlisberger's last game. Would be last dance with the Steelers. He signed a new contract in March that lowered his salary from $19 million to $14 million and created $15 million in cap space for the team. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported on December 4th that Roethlisberger has previously told some former teammates and people in the Steelers organization that he expects this will be his final season with the club. So it's like I said, it's been in the making. I mean, this is no surprise here. While there was no definite indication about retirement, one source told Schefter it is highly unlikely that Roethlisberger would play for another team in 2022 if such a situation presented itself. And like I said, I know some people say, oh, he might go join another team. I think this is it for Roethlisberger. If he's going to play next year, it's going to be for the Steelers in some sort of capacity. I don't think he's going to another team. I think he's going to retire a Steeler. Big Ben did note during his press conference that Monday night may be his final regular season home game. The Steelers have a chance to win the AFC North and host the playoff game. They must win out and have the Cincinnati Bengals lose each of their final two games against the Kansas City Chiefs and Browns. So it's not outrageous, but they need help. I mean, they need to win out, and they need the Bengals to lose 2 games. Now, Kansas City's going to be tough. That's a possibility. But Cleveland beating the Cincinnati, that's not as likely. It would make... See, I got to admit, I didn't know it was this close for them to make it. But this would be the interesting part. They must win out. So if they do beat Cleveland this week and Bengals lose to Kansas City, that would make for a very entertaining Week 18. That could dictate Big Ben's career right there. Big Ben's final season. You win, you're in, and a Cleveland win. So it'd be interesting. Roethlisberger, the number 11 overall pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, has spent his entire career in Pittsburgh. He is the franchise all-time leader in passing yards, 721, passing touchdowns, 416, and has won 2 Super Bowl titles, 2005 and 2008. So, just go to show you how long he's been playing. You know, it's time. It's time for him to hang up the cleats and move on, and it's time for the Patriots to move on, because this is a guy who has been in the league for so long, and it's time to move on. Got drafted in 2004, was the 11th overall pick, like we said, and I'll go over to his stats here. This season he's 3,373 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 8 picks. But overall in his career, he's played 247 games. All of those have been for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 5,386 completions, 8,353 attempts, 64.5 completion percentage, a total of 63,721 yards. 7.6 was his average per throw, 416 touchdowns, 209 interceptions. His longest throw of his career was 97 yards. That was in 2017 and 2018. He had 2 of those. It's funny, he's endured 551 sacks his career. His overall rating is 93.8. So, just some of the numbers in his career. This year his QBR is 38.5. So, guy's 39 years old, turns 40 in March 2nd turns 40. So, if he would even come back next season, by week 1 he would already be pretty good into his 40 years old. So, 39 years old, about that range. About that range. What's Rodgers? Rodgers is got to be up there too. What is he, like 38? I was going to say 37. 38. So Rodgers is 38. And another guy too who, he's weird, but he's all over the place whether or not he might retire or go join another team. Rodgers, whenever he decides to make his decision, it's going to blow up the NFL. Whatever he decides to do, whether he goes and plays for the USFL, the new expansion league that is coming back, it's gonna blow up the NFL. Who knows what's gonna do with Rodgers? And then you got Brady sitting there at what? What's Brady? Is Brady 42? 44. Jeez, 42. I'm all over the place. I can't even. Not good with ages. Brady's 44. It just shows you how crazy it is. Rodgers is being Rodgers and contemplating retirement, 38. Big Ben's 39. Those are normal retirement times for quarterbacks and NFL players. And you got Brady looking better than ever playing at 44 years old. And he'll turn 45. He turned 45 in August. So it's pretty crazy. By the way, this stat about Brady. So Tom Brady is exactly 22 years older. 22 years apart. Exactly. So Tom Brady's 44 years old. His date of birth was August 3rd, 1977. Wilson's 22 years old. His date of birth was August 3rd, 1999. So they share a birthday. And they face off on Sunday. Tom Brady is 22 years older than Zach Wilson. It really is pretty crazy. It's just insane. You see those numbers all the time. Even the Rams Super Bowl. You had Sean McVay and Jared Goff, their combined age was like 50 or something. And Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's combined age was like 70 something. Or no, it wasn't 70. It was like 100 something. Because Belichick's up there and Brady was like, at that time, Brady was like 42 when that Super Bowl happened. Because that was like 3 years ago or something. It's just crazy. But kind of went on a little bit of an unnecessary rant there. But back to Big Ben, he's 39. So hanging up the cleats at that age is pretty common. Unless if you're Tom Brady, I don't know. I don't want to start anything. But Tom Brady's one of those guys that it's like, I would not be shocked if he plays until he's 50 is just outrageous to me. Because if you're 50 years old, that would mean he plays 6 more years in the NFL. That means he would play 6 more seasons in the NFL. It's just crazy. But anyway, Big Ben looking each and every week like he's going to retire. And what he said today is pretty convincing that unless if they make the playoffs, which is still a possibility, but unlikely. He will be on his way into retirement, and this will be his final game as a Steeler at home at Heinz Field. Alrighty, so that's what I got for Ben Roethlisberger and the rumors around his retirement. Coming up next here, we got some big news coming out of the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving has officially returned to practice. Yes, you have heard that right. The wait is over. All of the protocols, all the vaccine stuff. Kyrie Irving, the wait is over. Kyrie is back, and he is with the Nets. He was practicing with them yesterday. He will only be playing road games, but he is back, and that's all that matters. Kyrie Irving returns to practice. We'll get to that, the Nets, and more coming up next. Alrighty, so we're all going to be back here. So all the whole season, we've gone through it without Kyrie Irving. And all of the rumors and the trade stuff and all that stuff. Obviously, this is a report that came out a couple days ago, or about a week ago now, that said Kyrie would return with the Brooklyn Nets. The wait, or whatever you even want to say, the wait, whatever it is over. Kyrie Irving is on his way back and is on his way to be playing for the Brooklyn Nets again. Now, it will be a limited capacity, but Kyrie returned to practice yesterday for the first time since being suspended from the Nets. Not really I don't really know if that's a right word to say. It wasn't really a suspension. It was just simply due to the city and the vaccine mandate and what the Nets wanted out of their players. Kyrie could not play. He could not participate in home games at Barclays, and the Nets at the time, before the season started, made the decision that if you weren't going to be able to play home games, you weren't going to be able to be with the team and play with the team in a limited capacity, just road games. And there were some people saying that, could he still practice with the team? Could you still have Kyrie just strictly practice, and then whenever things start to clear up, maybe have him play? The Nets decided not to do that, so I don't know if suspension's the right word, because it's like he didn't get suspended. It's not like he did anything wrong. He just didn't. He hasn't gotten the vaccine yet. So it's one of those things where, due to the protocols and what the NBA and the New York City decided to do, was he was not allowed to play home games. So he is now back. He was practicing yesterday, and he will be able to take part in just road games. So, road games. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything goes. And I think this is, not that this is a trial run, but this is something that the Nets are doing. I mean, I don't think this has ever happened ever in the NBA where a player has only played road games, or I'm sure there's times where players are better on the road than maybe they are at home, or better at home than they are in the road. And I guess in a funny way of saying it, maybe some players are non-existent on the road, but they're really good at home. And that sometimes happens with players. But it's never been where players are only play road games or only play home games. And that's going to make for a very interesting thing with the Nets, because this is really one of the first times we've ever seen this, where the Nets are doing this, and we've ever seen this in the NBA, where a player is playing strictly road games and not allowed to play at home in front of his home crowd. So he returned yesterday to practice. He was excited to be back. And look, all right, I'm going to tell you this as a Net fan. Right, I've been a Net fan my whole life. I've never seen this happen. Right, I've always seen a full roster of guys that have, tried their best to play every game. Injuries happen. I've never seen this ever watching basketball. Nor is it something that we really want to see, right? We want to see all the guys play as many games as they can, and we want to see all the guys go out there and play all the home games and all the road games that they can. Obviously, injuries and stuff like that limits that at times, but when you're out there and you're healthy and you're playing, you just got to hope that they can play all the games. That's not going to be the case with Kyrie Irving. And from a Net fan perspective, right, I'm fine with him being back. I'm glad he's back. I wanted Kyrie to be on this roster. And there's so many times you look at games and you look at moments and you could say, we could have used Kyrie here, or this could be a moment where Kyrie could have been utilized. I was saying it to myself about KD on Saturday when they were playing the Lakers on Christmas Day. It was late in that game. Lakers were making a comeback, and I was sitting there watching, and I was like, right now, we could utilize KD. We could so use KD right now in a big situation to come up with a big shot. KD obviously was out due to health and safety protocols. He was also back yesterday. But that's what I was saying. I was like, you don't know how much we could use KD right now. KD would be such a big help right now. And we ended up winning the game, but probably would have been done a little easier if KD was on the roster. Could have went up, got the ball, dribbled in, fade away, took a big midi, one-on-one against LeBron. Could have just slowed down the tempo on the road, loud arena, pumped up crowd. Could have really quieted it. We could have used KD there. But there's times this season where you look as a Nets fan, you say, we could use a ball handler here. We could use somebody that can get to the rim and truly finish. Because Harden this season, I'm not going to complain. We have James Harden and Kevin Durant and now Kyrie coming back for road games. I'm not going to complain. That's why I don't like when there's a lot of Nets fans saying, oh, this is the worst 23-9 team I've ever seen. I'm like, we're 23-9. There's no need to complain. Now, sure, have I still seen parts where we need to be better? Yes, sure. We totally do. The team's not there yet. This team's not there yet. We still need better rebounding, still need some better plays on defense. But we're 23-9, and that's all that matters. But there are moments this season where you look at it and you say, we could have used the ball handler. Or we could use somebody that could really hit a big three here. And Kyrie is what that is. And at the beginning of the season, we were supposed to be full strength. So that brings me into my next point. I'm tired of hearing it. I don't like hearing these people, specifically the Nets fans, talking like, oh man, Kyrie's going to ruin everything. He's going to mess everything up. I'm thinking to myself, I get it's only road games. And I understand that there's a part of you where it's like, you build chemistry with the group of guys we have, and to have KD or Kyrie, let's just say you have 3 home games, right? You play 3 home games, then you go on the road for a game, and you come back home and play. So you have Kyrie for 1 game, you play 3 home games, no Kyrie, you go on the road, and it's like you're introducing a new player to your roster, and then you go back on. I understand that. I get all that. But everyone's saying, oh, Kyrie's going to destroy their season, he's going to mess up everything that they got going, I don't get where you're coming from with that. Because at the beginning of the season, Kyrie was supposed to be on this roster. It was supposed to be Kyrie, KD, and Harden. It was supposed to be KD, Harden, and Kyrie. And now that we're going to get that in a limited capacity, you still have people saying, oh, it's going to mess everything up. Kyrie's going to mess up the chemistry and the overall, communication with the team. And I'm thinking to myself, Kyrie was on this team last year. He played with Harden and Kyrie last year. He still will be practicing with the team. He will just be playing road games. It's just funny. It's like now people are changing their stance on Kyrie. They're changing what they think. Everyone this whole time was saying, if the Nets get Kyrie back, they're winning everything. They're going to be unstoppable. Kyrie comes back. It might mess things up. You got to watch out. Kyrie, this might not be good for the Nets. Look, I'm happy about it. I'm pumped up that Kyrie's back. I'm excited about it. And look, if you're concerned that he's going to mess things up, well, he'll only be playing road games. So let's just say we got a 7-game playoff series. He'll be in 3 of those games. I know I'm thinking playoffs, and that's way out, and who knows, by May, June, at that point, if the whole situation between the vaccine and him and the mandates and stuff, whatever that stuff happens, if any of that stuff changes, which very well could happen by that point in the year, but it really is something pretty crazy that there's still these people that are talking about, oh, Kyrie stinks, Kyrie's this, Kyrie's that. Kyrie was supposed to be on this team. He was supposed to be the guy, the ball handler, the shooter, all that stuff. He had the whole issue with the vaccine, and now that he's back, everyone's like, I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel about this. Look, he's back. He's going to be a limited role, but he's going to practice. He'll play. And sometimes you think about it, like, even Harden did this. When Harden joined and I get that, I get it's almost like the same thing, because when we traded for Harden last year, myself, I was not happy about it. I didn't want Harden. I didn't want him at all. I wasn't happy about it. But what I did say is everyone talking about chemistry, I was on that boat. And I did say that, we might mess things up with chemistry and all that. But you got to realize, these guys are so skilled. They are so good that they can have things change. I understand there's that old saying, or that, not that old saying, it is true, but they're creatures of habit, or this and that, or whatever that is. I get that, but these guys are so good. They're such solid athletes, and they're such solid players that they can learn on the run. If Kyrie and KD and Harden are only playing a few games together, look, they got valuable experience together last season. They're still going to be practicing with each other. So I'm glad they're back. I'm glad that Kyrie's back. It's good to see him back. And yes, it's a limited role, but he's back. It adds another ball handler. It adds another guy that can score and shoot and get to the basket and finish. And look, it also takes some stress and some minutes off of KD. Because everyone's been complaining that KD's playing too many minutes. So, okay, you take some stress on the road games, take some stress off of KD. Now you got another guy out there. Now, instead of always needing KD or Harden out there, you can give KD and Harden much needed rest, and you can have Kyrie go out there and play and chew up some big minutes. So, there's a lot of benefits to Kyrie coming back. I'm not a big fan of the people talking about, he's going to mess everything up. How is he going to mess everything up? He was on this roster last season. Was he going to mess everything up if he played from the beginning of the season? How's he going to mess everything up? I mean, you also got to realize, from a fan perspective, it does seem like we're deep into this year. But we're 32 games into the season. We're not halfway through it. It's not like we are 75 games into the season and Kyrie decides to say, hey, I'll come back to play the final 3 games. No, we are 30 games into this season. Tonight will be the 33rd game that the Brooklyn Nets play. Right? So, it's not like he's coming for game 81 out of 82. Right? It's not like he's coming for game 82, which is a home game. He's going to sit the bench and watch. It's not like he's doing that. He's coming at game 32, or he's coming, we're only 32 games into the season. Tonight will be the 33rd. And he'll have the rest of the year to continue to play, get better, and build chemistry with the guys. Right? And I'll be able to do it too on the road. And I know there's people too that, are the Nets now going to purposely tank to get a lower seed so they can have more road games? No, you never do that. I get the thought process. I understand where people are coming from. But no. You still want to play in your home crowd. I take playing in front of my home crowd than, I still take playing. I take playing in front of my home crowd, not full strength, and going on the road full strength, playing on the road against a good team. Because let's say you get to the 6th seed, that still would mean you would need to play a team like the Bucks or somebody like that. And you just don't want to do that, because if you purposely lose and you end up struggling on the road, and you're like, oh gosh, well, we did this to ourselves now. You got to go for the 1 seed. You got to go for the home court advantage. And another thing too is because then that'll make your road opponents not as good. Your opponents, that'll make them not as good. Let's say we get the 1. If you pull up I can pull up the standings right now. I'll pull them up right now. The standings right now in the NBA. So if the season were today, it would be 1 seed versus 8 seed. We get the Wizards. So it would be the Nets Wizards. Although I don't know about the whole playing game, but it would be the Nets Wizards. So, we could take the Wizards. We could definitely take the Wizards. You win 2 at home, go on the road, and boom, right? You even go further down the list. You get the 2 seed, you get the Hornets. So those are winnable games. So no, there's no need for us to purposely lose or should the Nets want to play all these road games? No. But hey, 30 games, 32 games of the year. It's nice to finally have Kyrie back, but I'm not buying into the verdict that he's going to mess everything up. He played for the team last season. He's a solid player. These guys are pros. These guys are the best, or some of the best in the league. And he'll give us a boost on the road, and he'll still practice with us and all that good stuff. And I don't know when exactly he'll start playing. They said that he's still gonna ramp up and stuff. I think some people, I guess I'm hearing that the January 5th Wednesday night game of next week against Indiana, again on the road, could be his first game. But the Nets here, a little later in January, go on a 4-game road trip. So the Nets are pretty much home for the next couple weeks. 3-game homestand starting tonight. The Sixers, Clippers, Grizzlies. Then the 5th we go on the road to play the Pacers. Then we're home the 7th and the 9th against the Spurs. Then we're on the road the 12th against the Bulls. Then we're home for 2 games against the Thunder and the Pelicans. Then January 17th is the start of a 4-game road trip, which starts in Cleveland and ends in Minnesota, which will wrap up on January 23rd. Then we're back home and so on and so forth. That gets you into February. So right now we have a 3-game homestand, then we go on the road, then 2 games at home on the road, 2 games at home, then the road trip. So they're targeting that Pacers game. Now, if he does not play that Pacers game, the game that Kyrie would play is January 12th. So you are talking about a decent amount of time from here. So, Kyrie's got to ramp up and get ready, get going, because if he doesn't play that Pacers game, then you're talking about him not playing until Wednesday, January 12th on the road against Chicago. So that'll be interesting. But that'll be a big stretch. The January 17th stretch to January 23rd will be a very interesting stretch in terms of playing 4 straight games together on the road and seeing what he can do. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm glad he's back. Look, I'm glad he's back. It's an added boost to our roster. And look, to all the people that are saying, "Oh, this team hasn't even hit their full potential," and these teams that are frustrated, or these fans that are, "Oh, this 23-9 is not a good record." Well, hey, if you don't feel confident, you're getting him back. I don't care. It's an limited role. You're getting him back. You're getting one of the better players in the league back, and that's all that matters. And that's what people got to realize, right? It's not like you're just getting a random player back. You're getting Kyrie Irving back. I don't care if it's in a limited role. To be honest here, how many games has Kyrie played in 2 years with the Brooklyn Nets? Let me ask you that. Not many. Not many. So it's almost the same thing. He won't be playing that many games, but when he does, he can make a big impact. So Kyrie's back with the Nets. Alrighty, so Kyrie Irving returned to a Brooklyn Nets practice for the first time since the preseason, and he said he understood why the team decided to have him stay away because of New York City's vaccine mandate, so on and so forth. Coach Steve Nash has said Irving will need to ramp up for 1 to 2 weeks before he can return in a road game. "I've missed so much time," Irving said. "It's my first day back around the block with the guys, and it felt like it's been a long time. It's only been, 3 months or so, but it feels like the days have been slowly crossed off the calendar while I am sitting at home. When I thought about returning to practice last night, I could barely sleep." Irving has not been with the Nets on a regular basis since practicing with the team for a week in San Diego during training camp in early October. With New York City mandating that players get vaccinated to play at Barclays Center, the Nets in October decided against having Irving be with the team for road games and practices as well. "I knew the consequences," Irving said, "of not being vaccinated and having to be away from the team. I wasn't prepared for them by no stretch of imagination. Coming into the season, I had my thought process on being a full-time teammate and just going out there and have fun and provide a great brand of basketball. But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. Things happen for a reason. We are here, and I'm just grateful for this." With the COVID-19 outbreak leading to as many as 10 Nets players in health and safety protocols at one time, Brooklyn had 3 games postponed last week. The Nets opted to bring back the point guard for road games. But only a day after the decision, Irving went into health and safety protocols. Irving, KD, and LMA, LaMarcus Aldridge, were cleared from the health and safety protocols Tuesday and were at practice Wednesday. "Incredibly grateful to be just to be back in the building," Irving said. "Welcome back with open arms from my teammates, the whole organization. Not gonna lie, it's been a relatively tough to watch from the sideline with everything going on in the world. I know everybody's feeling it. Just praying for everybody to be healthy during these times. If I get the opportunity to get on the court and play with my teammates, even if it's just road for away games, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Irving 29 said it was hard for him to tune out all the talk surrounding him and the Nets while he was away. A lot of uncertainty, he said. It might be a while before Irving makes his season debut. The Nets start a 3-game homestand Thursday against the Philadelphia 76ers. Irving's first opportunity to play is when the Nets have their next road game at Indiana on January 5th. After that, Nets are not on the road until January 12th at Chicago. Following that, the Nets start a 4-game road swing January 17th at Cleveland. So, it will be interesting. He's anxious probably. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe not rush himself back, but see if he can really start to ramp up so he can make it for that January 5th game against Indiana. But that we'll have to see how that goes. So Durant, 33 years old, James Harden, 32, wanted Irving back. The point guard said the championship window will be open for only so long for the Nets' big three. We have a lot more left in the tank, Irving said, but obviously our age between us three, us being at a certain level of mastery in this game. It is only going to last for a certain amount of time. We wanted to strike while the iron is hot. So Kyrie's back. By the way, if you look at his stats last season, he averaged 26 points per game, 26.9. Which was 9th in the league, 4 rebounds and 6 assists. And yeah, I mean, in his 2 seasons with the Nets, he's played 74 games. So he hasn't even played a full 82 games in his 2 seasons with the Nets. So it just goes to show you that, he has not played many games with the Nets. So it's, he's just in another limited role. Look, he's a solid player. We know that. He's, 29 years old, and I'm going to continue to say that. People can make fun of Kyrie and all that stuff. A lot of people are taking away the fact, look, he's a good player. There's no other way to put it. He's an excellent player. He still is the same player he once was, and it's good to have him back. So, Kyrie returns to the Brooklyn Nets and returns to practice. Alrighty, and as for fantasy, what do we got there? 57 already? Really? That flew by. Yeah, I guess it's 57 already. Before I looked up, it was like 46. It's already 57. So, close to the end here. As for fantasy basketball, I'm currently winning 402 to 356. Today I've got going Darius Garland, Nikola Jokic, Tyrese Maxey. Still a ton of guys out due to protocols, so dealing with that. Mitchell's day-to-day. Label's day-to-day. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander day-to-day as well. Gilgeous-Alexander won't play in Wednesday's game against Phoenix due to right ankle soreness. Ryan Stiles of BricktownBuckets.com reports. And Brandon Ingram's day-to-day as well. Ingram Achilles has been ruled out of Tuesday's game against Cavaliers. Andrew Lopez of ESPN.com reports. So he's still out. So. By the way, fantasy football, I'll do a quick injury update. Gibson hip wasn't present for Thursday's practice and is set to be listed as a non-participant on Washington's official report. Nikki Jahabla of the Washington Post reports. By the way, some updates on Elijah Moore. Moore quadriceps has yet to resume practicing as of Thursday. Rich Cimini of ESPN reports, and Edmonds was limited by a back injury at Wednesday's practice. Darren Erman of the Cardinals official site reports. Injury update to my other fantasy football league. A.J. Brown's questionable. So there's no news on him. Some news on Jameson Crowder. Crowder calf remains sidelined at practice Thursday. Rich Cimini of ESPN reports. Jimmy Garoppolo thumb sat out Thursday's practice. Eric Branch of the San Francisco Chronicle reports. So he was out, and that's it. So, that's what I got for fantasy there, and we'll get to the sports that are on tonight. Tomorrow's the big day. All the bowl games on tomorrow. I'll make sure to do a podcast for that, and all that, and all the big college football playoff bowls tomorrow and football Friday. As for the NBA today, we got the Bucks Magic. I'll give Bucks the win. Wizards Cavs, give Wizards the win. Warriors and Nuggets, I'll give Warriors the win. Nets Sixers play tonight. Nets come into this game 23-9. Sixers come into this game 18-16. Nets are 5-point favorites. The over/under is 222. This game goes on today, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can find this on NBA TV and Yes Network. 78% of people think Philly will win this game. I think the Nets win. KD's back. You got to hope that he picks up where he left off, and we'll see what happens. As for today, we got the Hurricanes and the Canadians. I'll give Hurricanes the win. Panthers Lightning, give Panthers the win. Blue Jackets Predators, I'll give Predators the win. Islanders Sabres, give Islanders the win. Flames Kraken, give Flames the win. Kings Canucks, give Kings the win. And Sharks Flyers, give Sharks the win. No top 25 college basketball games on today. They were all postponed. But there was some Rutgers played today, Big Ten basketball. So, that's that. No Thursday Night Football either. Kind of weird. Definitely weird. Tonight we have the Peach Bowl tonight, which I'm super excited for. It should be a good game. 7 Eastern tonight, ESPN, Michigan State, Pittsburgh. I believe Pittsburgh I have winning. So, that's what's on tonight. Peach Bowl, basketball, that good stuff. So, yeah, and tomorrow's the big college football games. You got the 2 playoff games tomorrow, Cincinnati, Alabama, and Michigan, Georgia. So we'll see how everything goes with that. So, as always, tomorrow will be the Football Friday podcast. I'll give you all my Week 17 game picks, get you ready for Week 17 in the NFL. And college football picks as well, and all of that good stuff. So that should be good. But yeah, that'll do it for the podcast here today. As always, hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.